Season opener, IBSF BMW World Cup for four-man bobsleigh at Altenburg in Germany on a snowy Sunday at the end of November. Christmas is a-coming, and it looks like it here. We're getting ready for the action in the second and... Next up, Uģis Žaļims of Latvia. Jānis Jansons, Davis Springis, both new to the Latvian lineup this year, and Intars Dambis, who was in the two-man sled with him yesterday.
5:31 start in the first run, so if you like to deal with numbers, everybody else faster, these guys should probably get down into the 23, 24, 25 start.
Third Latvian sled, they were the sixth fastest starters.
Big boys, tall, thin, two new guys on this sled. First year recruits, and the guys on the left and the right are both 6'3". Catholics, both of these. He said the first heat, the Latvian Decathlon Federation must be very upset with bobsledding because it had 2/3 of the Latvian team are decathletes.
And they're not, didn't make it, so
boy, he didn't get a good start.
36.
Just the Americans and Canadians rocking it out of there, and he's back slower. Red numbers. Cripps have that good a run, or just got into a good blank weather zone?
Well, you know the way it is with the weather. Sometimes it deals with, it's like a safety car, you know? Sometimes you win, oftentimes you lose.
It's coming back. Ooh, a little late there, though. 7. Boy, he's going to have to be perfect down here to catch Cripps.
That mistake will compound itself down the track because he lost speed that never comes back.
He's going to drop at least one spot. He won't drop 2. He'll still be in front of Cunningham.
Yeah, Cunningham's half a second back, so he will be in second.
Third best time of the run. And surprise, the start time cost him that. Canadians beat him by 1,400 at the start. Cripps, Kopsak, Patrick, Coquel, those 4 guys put a good start together, boy. That start would have given him the second or third best start of the competition. I'm thinking yeah, would have given him the second best start of the competition so far. Here's the exit of Kreisel. He lets it hang on the edge of the curve here a little bit and flops off. A lot of loss of energy there. You're supposed to have a slingshot effect on the exit of that curve, and he lost a lot of energy by cracking that wall.
10 sleds to go here in Altenburg, Germany on a snowy Sunday in November, and our two-man and four-man World Cup champion Oskars Melbārdis is next up. 10th place after the first heat, not something he's accustomed to. In four-man last year, his shockingly worst results were third place in Lake Placid and Koenigsee. He had a silver here in Altenburg and 5 wins out of 8 starts. His
partner in crime, Davis Drieskins, is not with us. There's the spikes on the shoes. See, they're cleaning them. 375, 16th of an inch spikes. That gives you your grip to run across the ice.
Means you don't lacerate your teammate when you jump in, hopefully.
Again, his partner in crime, Davis Drieskins, probably the biggest, best brakeman in the world, one of them. Not on the sled. He's got an Achilles injury, just like I did. But I had surgery. He hasn't had surgery yet. And they didn't do very good yesterday in the two-man competition. And it's the first time we've seen him without Drieskins in his career.
Drieskins might well be rested for the next couple of weeks.
Look at this start, 5:17. Not a bad guy off the bench. They pulled into there. Wow.
Armis Vilcaster might well be on the two-man sled next weekend. At the moment, though, good run from Oskars Melbārdis. He wants to push himself further up the order. Never off the podium in four-man last year. You can barely see the podium with a telescope from where he is at the moment. It was up to 4/10 in front. It's down to 1/3 of a second. Great bottom-end run from the Canadians.
Canadians had the best time.
Yeah, they did.
But the Canadians, you know, that's 30 hundredths. Is he going to move up?
Both that count. Both runs must count. And so Justin
He's got 22 hundredths to reach his, you know, you could get the next guy, Benny Meyer.
Could take Benny Meyer, but then
God,
quarter of a second
reach,
to his teammate, Oskars
30
Ķibermanis.
hundredths to Rico Peters, so that's a reach. Still, look at the spikes. Look at the feet coming down together. Boom, 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 boom. You know, choreography on ice. These guys know exactly how many steps.
Race leader on the right-hand side, Oskars Melbārdis, and the team of the Latvian sled. Well, the World Cup leader last year, the World Cup winner last year, won't be the World Cup leader after race one. Didn't win the first race in the two-man. Ain't going to win the first race in the four-man either. Here's his teammate, Oskars Ķibermanis, looking to overhaul the senior Latvian driver. Again, new names in his sleds. Helvis Lucis is a brand new brakeman. River Syrups and Virus Leiboms, we know.
26 start in the first run. The other Latvia teams went faster. Melbārdis considerably faster. Let's see what these guys can do. 5:19.
Oh, anything you can do, I can very nearly do as well. Melbārdis at 5:17. These guys are 5:19.
And they got around that first curve. Very nice.
You think he wants to stay in front of Melbārdis? Oh, yeah.
This is another young 22-year-old. They have a lot of hopes for this guy. How many athletes can the Latvians keep sending down here? I mean, the country is not as big as Rhode Island. It's unbelievable, the athletes that they've sent down to the sport.
Opening up the margin on Oskars Melbārdis.
They don't do bad in that men's skeleton either.
He was 2,200s up in the first heat. That's out to 2,800s total lead, but it is coming back down out of 15.
Plenty of speed, plenty of
through the finish corner. Leads the race from his teammates. Beats last year's double World Cup champion.
So pretty perplexing there. Latvian coaches, they know that there's no podiums today.
Well, in the first heat, he beat him by 2,200s. In the second heat, he beat his teammate by 500s.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. It wasn't just one lucky run. It was two quick runs. He was better on both.
And Melbārdis, a good start, better starts. Look at the choreography on ice. The pictures here. Look at these guys looking down. They know the timing here. The guy on the left looked a little hesitant. Now watch the arms come up in cohesion.
So confirmation of the result. Francesco Frigic by 900s from Nico Valter. Quarter second back, Max Arndt. The rest led by Rico Peter, Oskars Ķibermanis, and Lamindine, his first race on the track in sixth. Simone Batazzo couldn't hold on to the top four. He slipped ahead of Oskars Melbārdis and Alexander Kasyanov. And the top 10 rounded out by Canada's Justin Cripps, who staged a resurgence in the second heat. Nick Cunningham 14th, Stephen Holcomb 17th, and Oli Bidov 18th. Disqualification for Russia's Maxim Adrianov, overweight after the first heat. Second race weekend of the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're at the Veltens Ice Canal in Winterberg in Germany's Hochsauerland, ready for the second deciding heat of the comp. 5 sleds down, 15 to go. Winterberg, Germany, four-man competition number 2 of the season. Martin Haven, John Morgan watching the action with you as Uģis Žaļims of Latvia is next up. Current leader Jan Verber of the Czech Republic was 2,200 slower than this sled in the first heat.
Latvians, very successful day yesterday. 3 sleds in the top 6 in the two-man. And this Latvia number 3 here, he had some real problems in the entrance to Kreisel and the exit of 9 in the first run, or he'd be up in the top 10 with his teammates.
Yeah. 29-year-old Uģis Žaļims really struggled. Not as badly as we just saw from Matušek in the second sled from the Czech Republic.
Not only did they finish first, second, 5th, and 6th in the two-man, they also had the top 3 of the top 5 starts yesterday. So they've got unbelievable athletes that Latvia brings in here, and they're polished athletes, polished in the sport of bobsledding and the technique to start the sleds. Ooh, 500s. This, I don't know if he's got enough here.
I'm not sure if he has. Jan Verber could just hold on, and he does. And that was 0.2 of a second slower than Jan Verber's drive on that run. So he was 1,800s in front in the first heat, falls back by 0.02 of a second.
That was a better drive. There was just nothing to track.
Yeah. Verber's was just way better than his first heat.
He went down 10 minutes ago, and I think the track had a little bit more of the spritz was still in effect on it. Here, this is up top. Well, when you want to have the speeds are slow, and he's on the wrong side. He's on the right side of the screen, and now he's got to get over there. And when you do that, you get a little skid going. You know, again, this is...
Well, again, you can see all the errors there that cost him the time, can't you? That's 0.2 of a second's worth of errors right there. Next up is Oskars Ķibermanis, the Latvian third fastest start time. Faded away down the track to finish in 10th in the first of the 2 heats.
Well, this is probably half the athletes from Latvia on this sled alone. 5:08, best start. Watch the speed, 45.8, best speed. He had all the numbers until he got down to the entrance of Kreisel, and all of a sudden, he steered too much because his time just bled away quickly. With the third best start on this track, he should be back in a double-digit position. 26, 28, ooh, still a little tap on the entrance of Kreisel. Look at the heads, all perfectly placed. Can't even see him back there.
Much better looking run.
Ooh, he tapped on the entrance to 9, which just means some steering here.
He was only
quiet too.
900s ahead, 500s ahead of Zakharov after the first
13, he's losing it back. He should have enough. This is a little bit better trip. It's going to be single digits.
Yep.
Ooh, dear. Russians look on.
Yep.
Sandis Prūsis and his former brakeman Jānis look on. Coaches of Latvia. There's the first of 3 Latvian teams we're going to see, or the second of 3.
At least he avoided the big hit on the first wall that he had in the first run.
22 years old.
Yep. Lots of time to continue improving.
Curve 9, tap going in. So he came down here a little too early and negotiated through here pretty good. See, a little early, then back up on the outlet, but boy, he didn't change much. Came right through that little tricky section.
Oskars Melbārdis then, 2400s off the lead, but from this position, he and Alexei Stulnev have a shot at the medals. They're only 1700s out of bronze medal position.
Best start in the competition, first run, 5:05.
Worth pointing out, the man who won the World Cup title in 2-man and 4-man and overall last year was this man, Oskars Melbārdis.
Ooh, big time start. First time we've seen somebody in the 46.5. He had a very disappointing first run. Very disappointing. With that start, for him to be back in this position, something was wrong. And you know, it's either the sled setup, something going on, but he should be out to 30/100s at the next clock. If not, he might just be losing time all the way down next clock. There's the 30. So, and he's in a skid there.
It's 2 to 3. That's his biggest worry on this track.
Yeah, he made mistakes in the first run up there. Had to, because with that start, he was buried at the bottom.
In the World Championships, you can just remember him cursing those corners every single time.
Yesterday, silver medal in the 2-man. Speed, he's losing it back, just like we saw in the first heat. Should be enough for the win, for the lead, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough for a medal.
1900s of a second.
137.1, though, the first guy to break 137 here in this heat.
1900s quicker, 2200s quicker than his first heat, and that is the fastest run. Jan Verber's 55.39 has finally been beaten by the man who was in the bronze medal position in the World Championships in the beginning of March this year.
Watch the hands come up here. I think that's cohesion. Almost
synchronized swimming.
Synchronized swimming. Awesome picture. Boy, that was so unbelievable.
Beautiful.
Damas Driskin's not with him. He's got an injured Achilles. He went in the 2-man yesterday, but they're resting the best brakeman in the world, I say.
Change to Winterberg. Result is the same. Wins 2-man and 4-man. Max Arndt and Nico Walter back him up. Rico Peder 100th out of his joint best ever finish. Oskars Melbārdis in 4th. In fifth ahead of Alexander Kasyanov. Servus, willkommen in Bayern. Hello, welcome to Bavaria for the last race run of 2015. It's the 3rd race weekend of the BMW IBSF 4-man bobsleigh World Cup. Latvia in a real muddle in the first heat. Uģis Žaļims and Oskars Ķibermanis tied 18th position in a field of 24. This is previously an unheralded low for these two drivers. I'm not sure Žaļims has been this low in a field ever in his four-man career.
13th and 16th, the first two events in Altenburg, then Winterberg. Good starts. I mean, they get great start times, 4:87. You know, and don't know what happened. But the Latvians do have new four-mans, Eurotech. They've changed over. And I don't think any one of the Latvian drivers and four-man have got a feel or a rhythm for their sled yet. That shows it right there.
But the other thing when you change the sled and its nature is that what you used to use in terms of runners will change as well. So you're kind of changing every aspect of the performance.
He's got 2/10 lead. You would expect him to. He had a 800s better start.
It's a better run in the second heat from Uģis Žaļims. It might pick him up a spot or two. What it's not going to do is put him up into the top 10. Unless there's an awful lot of crashes coming up.
1600's better in that run, so they take the lead away from the Koreans, who gracefully exit. A lot of Koreans here, a lot of people in red jackets. They're all the people becoming officials for the Olympics a couple years from now. They've taken their jury exams over the weekend. Be interesting to see. We notice a lot of English-speaking Koreans here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the exit of the S's. Boy, what a challenge. You can't have a four-man sled in a skid like that. Now into the Turbodrome, the Kreisel. And look at the heads, the aerodynamic position. You see him shaking there. Boy, that was a big variance there, drive. And not easy coming down this track.
Uģis Žaļims, our race leader. Teammate Oskars Ķibermanis now up to challenge the 30-year-old. Ķibermanis just 22. So the rising star of Latvian bobsledding, but again, in a bit of a slump here. Fourth fastest starter, 18th at the bottom.
And he was one of the first guys out early, too, so fourth.
Yeah, fourth sled
Yesterday,
on the ice.
he had the second best start time in the two-man. It finished like 17th. And the Latvians last week in Winterberg had 3 teams in the top 6 in two-man. So the brand new four-mans, they're still trying to get the rhythm for them. Start. Awesome.
Yeah, 483, another very quick getaway. That'll be in the top 3 in the competition.
Look at these 4 S's. They call this the snake pit, these 4 S's. Real challenge as you come out.
Oh,
come out
huge
perfect.
skid. Hold it off there, and the back end was still going up the wall when he was bringing the nose down.
It's a challenge, boy. Exit here is going to be so crucial. Not as much variance as his teammate did.
Good exit, and down through the lower labyrinth. He's only 700s back. He could take the lead away from Uģis Žaļims.
There is some speed here at the bottom if you're clean. He's
You
not
don't hit
clean,
the wall. 14 to 15.
Best speed. Boy, this is not a good weekend for Ķibermanis, the 22-year-old who's the young stud of the Latvian program, and he's in a slump in four-man. And boy, they're going to be shaking their heads. They got 3 teams out on tour, fully sponsored. They look like Formula One teams. They got so many logos on them, and they do everything right for this little small country, but look at the body language on Ķibermanis.
If there was a dog there, he'd be kicking it right now.
And here's the exit of 9, up at the S's, excuse me. Back end is airborne. Watch the back end. Late coming off. Look at the articulation on the sled. You see the sled splitting there. It was maxed out. Then here in the bottom part of the track, out of Ecovon, you're starting to come uphill. And you can't tap like that right there. He had the 3rd best speed. But driving errors, a sled he's not familiar with. Not a good weekend for this young Latvian.
Uģis Žaļims on the right, and his team leads. Teammate Oskars Ķibermanis. Tied for 8th with John Jackson of Great Britain was Oskars Melbārdis. Last year, the 2-man and 4-man standout of the season. He won the World Cup. He won half the races in each discipline. The Latvian can't find pace with a map and a torch this season.
Best start in the first heat, 478. Only 200s off the track record, but brand new sled. He just hasn't figured it out yet. No rhythm, 479. You know, he does that. He won the World Cup 4-man title last year. He won the World Cup 2-man title. He won the combined. And he's done very well in the 2-man. He's medaled in all 3 2-man races, but the 4-man looks a little lost.
Well, the Four-man sled is the big change this year for the Latvians, isn't it? But he's as humble when he wins as when he doesn't. It's hard to tell from the way he talks to you whether it's been a great day at the office or a shocker.
Watch the back end of the sled here.
That's a good line again.
But boy, it's right down to 2/10. This should be enough.
Don't forget they were tied with Great Britain after the first heat. 2/10 up, so he's got more of a handle on it.
He shouldn't be back here. He should be in the top 3.
Wow, 49.03. That is comfortably the fastest run of the second heat, and that would have left him in 3rd place in the first heat. 4th place.
Brand new sled, still trying to find rhythm and feel. 5th and 8th in the first 2 events.
Well, both runs count, so a good second heat might not be enough.
Look at the heads. 4 huge men. Melbārdis probably the biggest driver in the field. Little variance, little up and down, little check. Now he's got to dive out of this whip around. Watch the runner tips crossover from right to left. Ooh, he's steering away a little bit there. Steered away. He thought he was out too early, but this was a good correction. Look at the back bottom left runner is the key. That is airborne. Unlike John Jackson, who was the smoothest transition we may have seen in either heat so far.
He's just been watching that on the giant screen down at the finish area that faces this crowded grandstand, half full of Latvians. It is, you know, a nucleus of sliding talent and love. And anytime you come to Berchtesgaden to the Koenigsegg track, you really feel that from the fans. Nico Walter winning by 1800ths over Max Arndt. Rico Peter nearly 4/10 back, but his career best equaling 3rd position here. A great run from him, and despite a couple of bings on the wall and some skill. Wasatch Mountains of Utah. We're just outside Salt Lake City, up in the mountains at Park City, the 2002 Winter Olympic venue. And it is the first of 2 races this weekend for the 4-man bobsleigh competition. Martin Haven, John Morgan, trackside in the wind and the snow. We're inside. But the fans packing this Utah Olympic Park, enjoying very close racing. Uģis Žaļims of Latvia next up, 17th after the first heat, 100th away from 16th, 2 from the tie for 14th. This is where we get into the really close racing, John.
You know, 6th best start in the front from the Latvians, who I said in the first run. There's 14 Latvians here. 12 of them look like they're, you know, Superman athletes. They're all 6'2". They all look like they're, you know, Supermans, and they get great starts.
487, that was quicker than their first heat. Better load as well. The man at 2 got really hooked up behind the driver in the first run. Much better load, much better speed as a result.
Yeah, you don't expect him way back in this part of the field with these athletes. And he's a very proficient 2-man driver. He's medaled in St. Moritz last year. A couple top 5 finishes here and already in the World Cup this year in the 2015-16 season.
But he's rusty. He hasn't driven a 4-man since December in Koenigsegg, Bavaria. They did not race last week, any of them in Lake Placid.
Yeah, all 3 out. Melbārdis, the top stud. He's got a bad back. He's missed all of January. Koreans wave on. There's Sanders Persis. He says, oh yeah, but he knows his team should be doing better than that.
Well, he could pick up several places now. Just don't forget, the next 3 sleds are only 200ths in front of him.
And he's only 400 slower in the second run than the first run. That's a good sign. Well, that tells you how bad he was in the first run.
Good consistency from the driver, Uģis Žaļims. Still a little bit despondent, though, with that run. But it might be enough to move him up 3 or 4 places.
Well, it's all about speed on the bottom part of this track. Watch the head snap here. This is on the exit of 12. Look at the heads and the moving around. That's the transition off the curve. You come off there a little late. There's Žaļims. He's not happy with himself. He's better in the 2-man. Get your start velocity and move on.
Top 6 covered by 2100ths of a second. This is Oskars Ķibermanis of Latvia, 100th behind Stephen Holcomb. And the medals are 1100ths away. So 3 sleds covered by a 10th of a second, all trying to beat their way into the medals.
Coming up, 486 start, the best start in the heat in the first run. 4 more unbelievable athletes from that little small nation in Latvia. Well, 486, so he's got to get 490 or something, worst case scenario. If he gets 5 flat.
No wind, no snow. 505, 2/10 of a second slower.
That's just Look at the gust there. Look at this. Look at it blowing up there.
That's not the athletes. They don't drop off.
No, you don't drop off.
I would. They don't.
Well, both American teams are 1,500 slower. This Latvian team's almost 2,000 slower. I'm sure there's some, what's a $200 Swiss franc or $200 euros is the protest?
Our race director is former Olympic medal-winning brakewoman Val Fleming. She had a pretty good introduction her first ever day as a race director with the women's race.
Yeah,
this is a lot tougher though.
This is up to the FIBT or the IBSF jury to be. Yeah. How many places is he going to fall?
Too late to
10th best time of the run. It's almost like you can look at the Canadians won't take it, but they know that there's some weird stuff going on.
But they also know that they could have run into a gust of wind and they just were lucky not to. That's the way it is. Uģis Žaļims, though, in second place from 16th with 5 to go, could end up in the top 6.
And Cripps went 490, 491, 492 in the start. This guy here, 486, and he goes 505.
Yeah.
Where's the gust? Where's the wind?
You can't see wind, and that's the problem. There's the problem for the jury, but they'll be feeling it when they're running into it.
Yeah, this is weird. You know,
think about being on a bicycle, and a gust of wind just slows you down instantly. And they can't do anything about it. And nor can Cripps and Žaļims. Now wins his first race here in Park City. Kazanov by 400s from Max Arndt. Rico Pater takes the bronze just ahead of Justin Cripps. Uģis Žaļims 16th to 5th. And Alexei Stulnev in 6th position. On round 6 of the BMW IBSF 4-man bobsleigh World Cup. 5 sleds left, 2 of them are Latvians, and 2 have, well, one of them, certainly Uģis Žaļims, 5th position. He had a great race yesterday, came up from a 16th spot to 5th. Today in the first heat, he just drove great into 5th place.
Best start in the first heat, 480. They could rocket to 475.
Track record 472. Oh, 300s away.
Unbelievable that Latvia can deliver these athletes. Not only one team, 2 teams, 3 teams deep. Their top dog, Melbārdis, isn't here. He's got a bad back. He's been out from Lake Placid and this event here. They hope to get it back in St. Moritz. But he's got red numbers. He had that unbelievable start, and he's already in red numbers.
Well, he was only 200s ahead of Francesco Friedrich. Friedrich's team, he outstarted them by 200s, but
he couldn't catch Friedrich here. 300s to 300s, he could catch him here in the bottom.
No, Friedrich had 125 and 135, and he is going to stay behind. 3rd place. There's Gregor Birnbach on the right.
Tied with Holcomb, right?
Yeah.
They're tied with Holcomb, so Holcomb moves up a spot. Holcomb needs to get into that top 10 for ranking. Wow, what a start. What athletes. It's the 3rd Latvian team. There's one more Latvian team coming up. Look at these athletes. I mean, you won't find better athletes. I mean, the Germans are 2 or 3 teams deep, but that's a little larger country than Latvia.
Yes, it is.
It's unbelievable to see these guys perform like this, and it's a little tiny nation on the Baltic, and it's unbelievable athletes that they bring to the sport.
There's more people in Bavaria than there are in Latvia.
A little late here in the finish. That's the 2nd sled we've seen do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that cost him much, but look at that.
Not as wild as Billy Meyerhoff.
Burn back there.
Yeah. Justin Margus.
Nice job.
Andy Bauer at the far end of that lead group. 4 to go. Here we go. Another Latvian. And he was only 200s in front of the Latvia 3 driver. This is Oskars Ķibermanis. Normally Latvia 2. There's their coach, Sandis Prūsis.
Ķibermanis only scored about 61 or 6,800 points in the decathlete test when he was competing. And he's only 22.
Yeah.
So this could be another 478. They could rocket into the 70s. There it is.
Oh, 477. Stunning starting at this sharp end of the field.
Unbelievable. Athleticism. The athleticism in bobsled used to be 3-4 sleds. Now it's like 12, 15 deep that the athletes are. It's unbelievable to see the athletic performance of the teams compared to just 5, 6 years ago.
Still in the green numbers, creeping away.
It's not good there.
300ths of a second away. 125.7, about the same speed as Friedrich. But has he pipped it on board?
Ķibermanis just hasn't got it figured out yet driving. 22 years old, just needs another couple years.
Couple of steers there to correct the slide, and a 1/10 of a second back.
Counting power. They can't believe it themselves.
Ķibermanis was 200ths of a second in front of his teammate Uģis Žaļims in the first heat. They have both just set an identical second heat time. Over the 2 runs, there's just 200ths between the 2 Latvian sleds.
Who's got the top 2 start times? Latvians.
Yep.
And the Germans, Friedrich did tie him,
Yep.
the second sled. Look at these guys. This is a mirror of the other Latvian team just went down. And they're drilled. I mean, they are so well schooled in the getting in the sled. Ķibermanis misses the big mistake, which
That
cost him
middle
his
tap.
placing. That might be one of the worst lines we've seen in the straightaway.
Yep.
But he's 22.
11-12, and he knows it was a driving error that gave the position away. So Max Arndt second, Rico Peter in third, ahead of Francesco Friedrich, yesterday's winner Alexander Kazyanov, and the Latvians slipped to 6th and 7th, but Stephen Holcomb ties 7th, ahead of Alexei Stulnev and Justin Kripson. That's a good second day here for Holcomb in the 4-man. Cunningham 11th, ahead of Lamin Dean, who came up from 20th. And the A-team in 16th place, Ivo de Bruyne 18th, ahead of Cody Basque and John Jackson of Great Britain in 20th. Race 7 of the BMW IBSF 4-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're in 1,775 metres up in the Swiss Alps. We're in the Engadine Valley on the road between Samaritz and Salarinia. For over 100 years, they have been racing sleds down this hill. The final remaining natural track on the planet. Next up, Uģis Žaļims, a 30-year-old from Latvia. Third fastest starting team in the first heat with a 5:18. Look at them get in, 5:12.
Yeah, but they might as well have had a 5:20 because that little tap of the exit of 1, huge amount of time.
We're talking to Wolfgang Stampfer yesterday about the track, and he was saying if you make a hit before you get to Snake, then it's almost like crashing lower down. You lose so much time.
10/100ths lead should be more than that with the unbelievable start. And we were sort of bad-mouthed the Latvian sleds, which are Eurotechs on the bottom part of the track. Oh, he hits there before telephone. That's costly. But Melbārdis proved us wrong. He had the best start in the competition and maintained speed on the bottom part of the track, and that's why he's in 3rd place, challenging for the top position.
700ths up in the first heat, gaps out now to 2/10 over John Jackson of Great Britain.
Well, when you have a start time that's 15 or only a couple hundredths better, but in the first run, he beat Jackson considerably at the start. 106.32, faster by 24/100ths.
Well, Jacko improved by 600ths, and the Latvians improved by nearly 2/10 more than that.
Probably more Latvian spectators here than Swiss. Of course, the Latvians travel very well with their bobsled skeleton teams. But he's the leader. And, you know, he didn't have this perfect line on the exit of Horseshoe. If they show it, he goes over there and taps the left-hand wall. It'll be right on our screen to watch him. Watch the right side of our screen. That tap doesn't allow you to have that slingshot effect, but he is the leader now with 17 sleds to go.
And that's the inconsistency of youth. 6 to go here in Samaritz. Oskars Ķibermanis is next up. 22-year-old may, if he gets a good second run here, turn his season around in an hour and a half on ice.
One of the better starting teams in the competition. In, down, with a perfect cohesion.
5!
Wow! This is a young 22-year-old driver, who I keep saying he's been in not a sophomore slump because this is his 3rd year, but since the first World Cup of the year we're in Altenburg where he got 5th, he's been lost. And he's also been lost in the 2-man, and you know, the coaches are a little perplexed with what he's doing, but they still have a lot of hope for him, and with start times like that, I'd have a big hope too.
I tell you what, 5:18 in the first heat to 5:05.
Wow. Well, this would be a big positive for him going to the World Championships in Eagles next week, which is all about a start track. And if he can post this type of a start time, he could definitely challenge for a medal.
3,800's up on Rico Peter, so he's keeping his first heat lead alive. 1:43, not great speed again from the Eurotech sled, but enough to take the lead by 3/10.
And that's a big positive for this young Latvian. They're going to be happy with this.
1,300's quicker than Rico Peter's second run alone. And the Latvian coaches think that it's the progress of Uģis Žaļims this year that is the biggest problem in Ķibermanis' head.
Well, 4 spectacular young athletes in a program that just has it. They're 12, 14 deep with great athletes at every position. The athletic, look at the profile, the aerodynamic profile. Look at the way they're holding on in there. Those guys have been fitted into that sled very nicely.
Good run from Ķibermanis.
First time we've seen him smile this year.
First smile we've seen all season long. Oskars Ķibermanis leads with 5 to go in the European Championships. 3 to go. Benny Meyer leads for Austria. Next up, Oskars Melbārdis. Back injury for Melbārdis. Achilles for Damas Driskins. I think Arvis Vilkasta and Janis Strenger are still healthy.
Watch out. They know their teammates posted a 5:05 start. They had the best start in the first heat, 5:13. They're looking around at each other saying, let's bust out a track record at the start and go get a medal. This could be... Oh, the snow's coming in, though. Look at the snow come in now.
Hasn't had a medal this year in 4-man Melbārdis.
5:13, same start. So much for trying to bust out the best start like his teammates.
He can't bust out anything in case he aggravates his back injury. This is only a World Cup race. Next week, the World Championship start.
Used to be the best starting team in the world, him and his brakeman, Damas Driskins.
They will be when they're fit. They'll be right back there. They're only 3rd fastest at the moment, and they're both crippled.
And there's a Latvian in 3rd place now, Ķibermanis, so...
3/10's back. I don't think he's going to lose that, but yes, the snow has definitely returned. Hey, what, is Holcomb up next or something? What's going on with that?
Yeah, down to 200s.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, my, Meyer's got to be looking at this. I could have a chance to win my first ever medal.
He can't read this, and nor can we.
Oh, this is tied to 100.
Needs 144s.
Watch out.
But don't forget, they haven't been getting that from the Eurotech sleds. They've only been in the 143s.
Oh, this is going to be a celebration.
Meyer's going to be in the medals, surely.
Unbelievable.
And he is. Meyer's in the medals. Austria are in the medals. Now you need to get the history books out. When was the last time an Austrian 4-man driver was in a European and a World Cup medal position?
Wolfgang Stamper said to us last night he's been in only once ever, and that was in the 2-man. We might have to go back more than a decade.
Stamper's best ever 4-man result, he said, was 5th in a World Cup race, which may well have been here, I've got to say. Wow.
Unbelievable what we're seeing here today.
The thing is stalling at high speed. It's not cleaving the air the way the Stamford sled does.
Perfect aerodynamic profile by 4 huge men there.
But from 14th in the first heat up to 7th, Jan Verber, 9th, another great top 10 finish for him. And Oskars Melbārdis, despite injury, on the podium in only his 4th World Cup race of the season. But Benny Meyer, fantastic result for him. Kosterg of France slipped a bit. Lucas Kolb, the second Austrian, slipped a bit as well. So Melbārdis and the crew on the right, Meyer on the left-hand side. And there is the Jeroboam being handed to our race winner, Max Arndt, by the Mum Champagne representatives. So champagne all round. Hello and welcome to Königssee in Bavaria for the final ice slide of the season. The BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup comes to its conclusion here at the oldest artificially iced track on the planet. One of the greatest natural locations for sliding. 4 sleds down the track. Next up, our 5th starter in this final heat of the season for the 4-man is Oskars Ķibermanis. 4th fastest starter, came down 16th place. And that sums up his season. He has not been able to match his performance to the starting performance of this team.
Spikes, 375 of those spikes at the bottom of them shoes. That's how they get the grip to travel across the ice. They're 1/16 of an inch, and they're sharp. back end of the sled comes up a little bit on this fourth best starting team in the first run. 46, maybe better. 41. Wow, that's the second best start of the competition, but we've talked about his problems down the track. The first 50 meters, he's one of the best. Oskars Ķibermanis is third year, he's only 22 years old. He's got a lot of promise. Oh boy, just hasn't been getting down the track.
He's having his second year slump in his third year, isn't he? He needs to,
first year he came out, he was in the top 10 constantly.
Needs to get his head around this in a hurry over the summer.
Look at the lead he's got. Ooh, almost crashed. Almost our first victim right there.
Well, we haven't seen anybody close to it really this week, but not since training.
Sure, he'll be happy for that 49.84.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah, he's 1100s better. But look at the, they know I was close to seeing the first crash of the competition right there. The team knows, he knows, and I'm sure the team won't say anything to him. Look at his visor's broken.
Speed at the bottom was exceptional. Yeah, that's it. Whacks his head on the cowl as they snap side to side.
Okay, now watch this. He gets here.
So late in.
It's right there on the right. Bang, that forces him in the middle, and that is a wrong transition. Now he's late. Now watch the sled go airborne. Hello. Oh, it was so close into there. Yep. Watch this picture. Oh, man, that was so close.
Yep, if the ice was built up a little more there, he would have been over. Oskars Ķibermanis, the leader after a wild trip down the track.
World champion here.
Our world champion in four-man. Last year's two-man, four-man, and combined World Cup champion in combined points. Oskars Melbārdis, courtesy of an injury that cost him 4 race finishes in North America, or 4 race starts, is currently only 11th in the combined points.
Second best start, 43 in the first run. They own the track record. They should get low 480s here.
Well, look, he owned all disciplines in the World Cup last year. This year, he's a world champion. It ain't a bad season, all that.
So, considering his brakeman is a partner in crime, Bobsleigh, he'll have Achilles surgery. They're going to tear it, cut it and re-heal it because he's been limping around all year. Both him and Melbārdis are operating about 85%, he told me, this week. So, at 85%, they just pushed the best heat of the competition at the start.
And growing that lead, 5,300, 0.6 of a second. He was 7th in the first heat. He could easily end up top 5.
He was started 11th in the first run.
6,300s. The margin continues to grow.
This is huge.
What a run.
49.25 for the world champion. 1,500s better. And they're operating at 85%. They own the track record here at the start that they set in 2014 of 476.
Melbārdis moves into the leader's box. The French have already vacated it.
Hey, Oskars, fantastic season, and you're only 80% and you won the World Championships. Your country's first ever. Watch these lines. Little playing with the runners, but you know, didn't hit too hard. And here in the finish, watch the heads. Not bad, a little back end skid there, try to get control.
Oskars Melbārdis of Latvia, the race leader, big smile on his face. Why not the world champion? With 6 sleds still to come. So there is your final result. Max Arndt, the gold. Benny Meyer, the silver. Francesco Friedrich, the bronze. By 5 from Nico Walter. Oskars Melbārdis rose to 5th, ahead of Rico Peter. And all of those guys having standout seasons in two-man and the four-man competition. The BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup trophy for the season goes to Maximilian Arndt of Germany. Francesco Friedrich, with 2 wins at the beginning of the season, looked like he was going to run away with everything. Injury prevented that. Rico Peter, 2 wins for him. No wins in four-man. I beg your pardon, 2 wins for Nico Walter. No wins for Rico Peter. And a win also for Alexander Kazyanov. So the win spread among 4 different drivers, but it was Max Arndt who claimed the most and takes the most points out of the season, in which he was never once off the podium. His worst result was a single bronze medal. Other than that, he was 1 or 2.
6th at the World Championships, though. That was his only detriment of the season.
And that'll have been a big disappointment to him, but it was the track that highlighted the only slight chink in his armour. Well, that's it for the 2015-16 BMW IBSF bobsleigh and skeleton season. Thanks to the whole IBSF TV crew in Europe and North America, to everyone who's helped us throughout the year.
Martin, congratulations. Another great season for us.
It has
great
been
to
a
work
great
with
season.
you.
Don't forget you can catch it all again online, but please, thank you for being with us. Join us again next season. Till then, for John Morgan, I'm Martin Haven saying, we look forward to meeting you then. Goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen from Berchtesgaden.